So about a month I think since I last did a video. The garden's been hot and dry. If you follow my bulb log diary, the weekly events will show you what we've been doing. But here we have the cyclamen, so it's really starting to feel like autumn in the garden now because the weather's cooled down and got damper. Here's a cyclamen hydrifolium. It's a great big, that's an old tuber down there. It's the size of a dinner plate, and if I come in this is one edge here and the other edge is way over there. You can see the coiling down of the flowers that have already been. Coils the seed pod down and it sits on top of the corm, and it will sit there for almost a year before it opens. Certainly 9 months before that seed's ripe. There's not a huge amount to see that. Well, it's not a showy month in the sense that there's masses of flower, but there's all sorts of interesting things. There always is. Even when things are not growing well, it's interesting to see. You can see over there in these ferns, the brown and dry, that's scorch from the hot dry weather in the ferns. But things are starting to grow now. They've seen the autumn, so we've got all sorts of nice little colours and arrangements. The Pyrrhus putting up some late colour. So this is when you really appreciate foliage. The Erythema candidissimum leaves come very late. The flowers were about a month ago. And there's the leaves over there with ferns. More ferns. If I come down here, this is Eucomis autumnalis in a pot, because I keep losing it in the garden. It's not fully hardy in the garden. Just knocked over 2 pots of cuttings there. So there's a tray of saxifrage cuttings I've just taken and just popped them into pure sharp sand that will stay moist, and the majority of them will be rooted by this spring and ready to plant onto a trough. So what is there? And more we can see. It's always good to get a crop of the little strawberries that we leave at the edges of the path, and we can walk around and pick a refreshing strawberry. They're only small, but my goodness, they've got good flavour. The cones here on the bonsai over in the corner beside, we bought ourselves a new swing seat to make, because the old one was getting a bit rusty. A table with some cuttings and photograph material for writing up the log. Over there you can see wire mesh on top of some of the sand plunges because the mice were digging up my crocuses and eating my crocus bulbs. So as you can see, there is colour in the raised bed here with the Cyananthus. So this is a Cyananthus lobatus hybrid. And if you just pan back, look at it with the lovely colour of the fern against the blue. There's a hint of red in the blue of the Cyananthus. So that's a great big clump, and that just all disappears underground when the frosts come, and that will keep flowering. It's been flowering now for some weeks. Some of the troughs are looking better. This is Cyananthus microphyllus here. So this is the smaller leaf one. All on this side is microphyllus, and on that side, so to my left, globatus and microphyllus there. So it's just that kind of season. Every year is a challenging year, but there is new things coming up. Piles of stuff I've cut down ready to go to the compost heap. The reason I cut them down is they've had their season, and now we've got the season. I need to open up the underground for the lots of cyclamen in there just starting to come, so I'll trim back a lot of this other foliage to open it up a bit. Some of that foliage also came out with the bulb bed that I've opened up, taking away stuff that's not flowering or had its season, because as you can see if you look right down there, lots of colchicums leaves, so I'm expecting lots of colchicum and crocus to come up here. This is Eucomis bicolor, and it is hardy, perfectly hardy here. It's got these wonderful spotty backs to the leaves. Meconopsis, I've taken off the seed heads and the stems. You can see very clearly the difference between the old leaves, this season's leaves, and the ones lower down. The fresher looking ones, they're the side shoots. They'll make next year's flowers. Around here, this bed where I've been clearing out, I've cleared out some of the dicentra, lifted it off the top, because it's got these little rhizomes that run about in the surface, so it's easy to remove that off the top and leave all the bulbs that are down below. They're still there, untouched. We took a rhododendron out of here, and I've moved some other plants around. So we've got, this is the Rhoscoia purpurea, one of the selected forms, really fine form. And down below, this is another form, just to show you the, if I come around here, the variation. This is the red gurkha, that sort of brick red, and this is another selection from the same species. All around here, this new growth of ferns, it was all burnt off. You can see the burnt off ones in the dryness of our summer. Hot and dry, we've never experienced that in the last 30 years. So while it was pleasant for us, some of the plants have suffered, but they've got a remarkable power to bounce back. But you can see how it's the foliage. Even the Cardiocrinum here, it flowered, but it's about half the height it would normally be. More leaves in there of another one. Here's Veratrum fimbriatum. I get down and quite a stunning, extraordinary flower. The leaves are a bit battered and chewed from the hard season. So that's really, it's much the same over the rest of the garden. In these areas, under the shade, if I pan back, you can see all the trees, and if I pan back, right back without falling over, you can see up into the acer. So this, I'm stood under good shade in the winter. So let's just move up to the, I'll just finish this wee thing. Oh, there's interesting too. Look at the two self-sown seedlings, self-sown rhododendrons into a bonsai pot. I keep saying I'm going to get those out of there. I really must. I might just actually do that today. As soon as I've done this, I'm going to go and get those out and put them in their own pot, or plant them in the garden somewhere, if I can think of somewhere to put them. So the new bed, as with all new beds made of compost, there's been lots of weeds to come out of it. But you can see here the start of the autumn crocus, Crocus nudiflorus. There's another Rhoscoia red gurkha. And up here, maybe a good spot to just to finish here. If I can focus in here on the Codenopsis grey wilsoni growing up through the pine. And so there we have a small view of what the garden's looking like as we start to move into the autumn. And the pond there, of course, with Molly trotting around behind me. So that's it for this trip. The next video will be when more of the crocus and the colchicums come out. But if you want to see more or read more about me every week, I write a diary online. Goes on midday on Wednesdays, and you'll find it on www.srgc.net. Ian Young's Ball Block, or search it. Thanks, and bye.